Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be checking out a piece by the established AI generative artist known as Stephen Young. This episode, we're going to be talking about visual balance here. We're going to talk about alchemical prompt generation, and we're also going to talk about the symbols of civilization lost to the passage of time. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, what's likely going to catch your eye is this kind of large monument standing nearly in the central region here. And this does stand within a valley, and it's quite a titanous or a titanic introduction here. Certainly catches the eye, and it's just impossible to miss in that first impression. So it's kind of strange, we see, normally we would expect a symbol like this to be set in the perfect center, but we see it slightly offset here. So the fact that it is placed a little bit to the right, it kind of forces the viewer to interact with the canvas a bit deeper. Of course, you see this work, and you may even wonder why it's offset from the center, but it also allows some more elements in the spatial composition, as well as that grand valley, so all very important. And you'll see it accents itself primarily through this dark on light contrast, right? You have that kind of lighter cosmic backing on those blue tones, really the perfect background to allow it to accent its form to the highest degree possible. So in the realm of color, we also see pretty much every color of the rainbow here, except for maybe green. It's kind of difficult to see the green. You see maybe a little bit around here, but all in all, you do get pretty much every single color of the rainbow, as well as an additional color, which will be black. So black kind of combines all colors into one, so we certainly see that in the comp. So you'll also see a use of kind of color-based rarity here, right? We do see a dark background, but it is kind of dark blue or a kind of purplish color. So the midnight black is really only in our form of our main subject here. So this is really important. Of course, color-based rarity, when a color is quite rare and there's such a kind of scarce amount of it, you'll notice that it kind of accents and intensifies itself in an immense degree. So because it's such a rare color right here, certainly catches the eye through placement, through contrast, through rarity of color we just talked about. Really so many things working in this visual experience. And so we also see this really kind of balanced composition here, and it's quite strange. You see we kind of have the base here, we have the valley, of course, and then we have kind of the peak right alongside what appears to be a moon or some type of planet or something. And this is important, right? We have even the form of the main subject itself is triangular, so the eye is kind of caught from the base to the valley to the peak and over again. So that creates kind of a triangular form. That certainly gives us a sense of balance, a sense of order in that compositional placement. So I think that's also important. It's subtle, but I think it does create quite an impact in the work at hand, but its impact is, subtly recognized, if recognized at all. And so this work does feel quite sci-fi. It feels like we're, standing on another planet looking at this strange object. It feels intergalactic. It feels cosmic. There's just so many things you could bring up here. And what I notice here is actually this kind of retro thing that we normally see. I see a lot of sci-fi works and a lot of retro sci-fi art as well. And kind of this sci-fi art, I normally see that with hopefully I pronounced this right, gouache painting. Hopefully I said that. But that type of painting is normally that aesthetic that I would associate with this, kind of that retro, maybe a little dusty or hazy, but not in a bad way. It feels retro, it feels very dreamy, and quite amazing at that. And so this was an AI generative artwork, and it was actually created using the original artist prompt parrot program. And this is really interesting. Probably one of the most unique things I've ever seen before. And another person who used this, we just talked about the artist, was Proxima Centauri b. So if you guys remember that, it's kind of a subject staring off into this intergalactic scene, really dreamy, lots of blue and blacks in there, but that was actually also used with prompt parrot as well. So this is the original artist who created the prompt parrot, and then we see other artists have used this artist program as well. So really, really nice. And this is a mixed media piece as well, so we took that, created it in an AI generative art program. So the prompt parrot specifically, we're going to break that down here in a second. Essentially, it gives you a novel prompt, and then he took that prompt, put it into Midjourney to create the piece which stands before us now. So already, you kind of have a mixed media element there. Maybe not what we would traditionally see as like a mixed media element, but he created the prompt, the text-based prompt in AI, and then put that into Midjourney. Very important. And then finally, he took this original piece, there's actually an origin piece, we're going to look at that in a second, but he added some additional edits in Photoshop. So really nice mixed media piece. You can see just how unique he can get with all those different elements coming together. Now we're going to take a look at the sister piece or the origin to this piece and kind of put together the cohesive story. So let's jump right into it. All right, so I have the two works that are involved in this creating this final piece here. And so the first one we're going to look at is the origin piece. So this was what initially created what we now see here. So this is the origin piece. It's called Enigmatic Oracle. Hopefully I got that right. And so this was the original text-based prompt that was used. And we're going to see what the difference is between these two. What you'll notice, of course, we have Cyberpunk Oracle Woman Stone Monument, Nightscape. At night, a vast planetary sci-fi city by Ansel Adams and Bernardo Bellotto, oil on canvas, award-winning, textured, moody palette. So Ansel Adams is, I believe, an American photographer. I have that right, and I believe that is a Bernardo Bellotto. Hopefully I got that right. I believe that's an Italian landscape painter, if I have that right. So if I do have that right, we're looking at kind of this grand landscape scene, and kind of gives that aesthetic of Ansel Adams as well, that photographer. So we certainly see that oil on canvas, stone monument at night, planetary sci-fi city. We certainly see that for sure. Really, really nice piece. It almost looks like some Greek letters in there. I'm not quite sure, but this is the original piece that was kind of created, and then the artist actually changed out that subject, those first 6 words or so, to create this piece, which is the final one we're looking at today. So this was the original text-based prompt, and you'll see actually the kind of second 2/3 of that is the same. So this was the new prompt. So imposing, stark, brutalist cyberpunk monument, nightscaped at night, and then we have that one that we talked about as well. Same with Ansel Adams, Bernardo as well, oil on canvas, textured, moody palette. We certainly see texture within both of these works. So you see, he just changed out the subject, and it created just an entirely new, different scene. We do see kind of similar colors. We do see that stone monument in both of these works. Also an intergalactic kind of sci-fi aesthetic as well, for sure. But this really is the origin of the piece that originally created this one as well. So just stunning, and I really wanted to compare those two so we can go a bit deeper on that. And so now that we looked at both of those, you can really see there's almost like an alchemical nature to the prompt generation. You can kind of take subjects out, but keep the latter half and create an entirely new, different scene, but still has a similar aesthetic. So there is kind of an alchemy in that that's really inherent. We also see what really reminds me of an obelisk, right? We have, of course, stone pillars or some type of solid monument. And the pillar, for example, or the obelisk, is really meant to be a solid structure. It's meant to withstand weather, withstand the force of time, withstand even war in some cases. So the obelisk, or any type of really solid stone monument, it's a symbol of preservation, it's a symbol of strength, it's a symbol of kind of perseverance, resilience, so many things you could bring up for that. So very important, the obelisk or any type of solid stone monument is both a literal and a metaphorical symbol. So very, very important. And there is kind of a sense of mystery or fear within the work at hand. So the original artist notes this as, a structure built by a past civilization, but the context of its kind of origin is lost to the passage of time. So the future civilizations or the future cultures which come across this, they don't know what it is. So whenever there's kind of uncertainty or some type of mystery, there is going to be a sense of fear inherent with that as well. So we certainly, it is very unknown. It's a very foreign object. And so these future cultures, since they don't know what this object is, they look at it with absolute fear. So really, really interesting theme. And the biggest thing I saw from this was kind of a reminder to preserve culture, but not only to preserve culture, but to preserve the context of which that culture was created. Because, if you preserve culture, you preserve art for, say, thousands of years, well, at least you have it, but it may not mean anything if we don't keep the context, for example. Before we found the Rosetta Stone, we couldn't translate a lot of Egyptian things, but once we found the Rosetta Stone, just this entire new world. Of course, we were given the context of the Egyptian language, well, of course, and then also translate it to Latin, which just opened up an entirely new world. So in that way, Egypt was kind of preserved. So the culture was preserved, no doubt, but the context of that culture was lost to kind of the language barrier. So when the Rosetta Stone was found, that really unlocked that. Don't want to go too off on a rant there, but I certainly see that it's important to preserve culture, but more importantly, to preserve the context in which that culture was created. So really, really important and amazing work as well. Probably one of the most unique pieces I've ever seen, especially with that prompt I have never seen anything like that. So Stephen Young is really doing an amazing job. And I just recently gave an invitation for Young to join the Apollo team, and to my great excitement, he accepted that. So really looking forward to getting a lot of advice and kind of counsel on the AI generative scene. It is not foreign to me, although I'm not a expert in that scene. Stephen Young is getting a lot closer and kind of teach me a lot on all these different aspects. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, go check out the original artist, Stephen Young, always doing some really good stuff. We talked about kind of sci-fi work, retro, civilization, the mystery of the obelisk, so many different things. Hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.